Hello, and thank you for joining us for the KREM 2 News Week in Review. I'm Cody Proctor. Each weekend, we walk you through the headlines from the past week in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the biggest news stories of the past few days.
At the helm only 2 months, Washington State Health Secretary Dennis Worsham admits it's a tumultuous time in public health.
The public health system has worked so well for so long, and this is definitely a disruptive.
He's talking about the shakeup of the CDC with the ousting of its director and advisory members and the walkout of several other top employees protesting policies from Secretary Robert Kennedy.
There is an injection of ideology that's becoming into play, and so that's why we're having to kind of build these shadow systems.
Referring to the West Coast Health Alliance, the governors of Washington, Oregon, and California behind the group say the CDC has become a political tool.
What does that mean for Washingtonians?
Yeah, COVID was hard, right? And became very politicized, and there was some erosion of trust. And it's really important for us to rebuild that trust.
Worsham says the alliance will rebuild trust by providing immunization recommendations from what it calls trusted medical organizations, like the American Academy of Pediatrics.
We'll make sure that we are aligning with the best science, the best policies that are available, and we will, in place, make guidance and recommendations.
Taking a role the CDC has long held. Worsham says the pandemic ushered in the start of public skepticism about vaccines. He says the alliance and public health leaders have to have tough conversations to rebuild that trust.
And to be able to really explain the whys behind the decisions we're making. Our role is to get the guidance out and then let people wrestle with what is the best decision for them and their family.
Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
The three face charges related to the killing of 4 mountain lions and 8 bobcats throughout North Idaho. The indictment alleges they illegally used hunting dogs to hunt cougars and bobcats, leaving some of them to waste. They're also accused of illegally selling hides in Moscow. Court documents write the estimated timeline for these alleged crimes spans from May of 2024 to February of this year, a time period where Eddie and Daniel Dills already had their hunting licenses revoked. They also detail the alleged illegal killings of the mountain lions took place near 4th of July Pass, Cemetery Ridge, and Laverne Creek in 2024. The suspects reportedly tried to hide evidence of one of the killings by dumping the carcass down an embankment, according to court documents. Court documents show both Eddie and Daniel also used hunting dogs to hunt near bobcat traps and force mountain lions up trees. Meanwhile, Angela Dillis is accused of accompanying Eddie and Daniel on several hunting trips and completing mortality and harvest reports. She also allegedly sold several animal carcasses and hides to Moscow Hide and Fur in Latah County within the 12-month period for a total of just over $1,700. It's not the first time one of them faced legal trouble. In 2017, the Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife charged Eddie Dillis as part of a group for poaching more than 100 animals, including elk, bobcats, and deer. The charges for this case include conspiracy to commit unlawful killing, taking, possessing, or wasting of wildlife, conspiracy to commit concealment of evidence, and conspiracy to sell unlawfully killed, taken, or possessed wildlife.
Our firm does a lot of these cases.
James Cook, the attorney for Victor Perez's family, says they got disappointing but not surprising news Wednesday morning.
I rarely see an instance when the shooting is not deemed justified.
In this 12-page letter, the Deputy Attorney General outlines why the 4 officers who shot and killed the Pocatello teen in early April won't face charges, saying the state wouldn't be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt the officers shouldn't have fired their weapons.
I mean, that's their conclusion. Of course, we would arrive at a different conclusion.
As we previously reported, Perez's family says the 17-year-old was nonverbal, autistic, and had cerebral palsy.
Hey, drop the knife! Drop the knife!
The officers responded to a 911 call alleging the teen was intoxicated and trying to stab his family. According to the AG's office, Perez suffered 12 gunshot wounds.
We would say that there are a number of things in place, protocols that they should have followed. And if they'd followed those protocols to this day, Victor Perez would be alive.
Under Idaho law, the AG's office says officers aren't required to try less lethal options before using deadly force. They also state none of the officers knew about Perez, his disabilities, or any past encounters he'd had with Pocatello police, adding the police department doesn't flag houses for mental health issues. In the letter, Deputy Attorney General Jeff Nye said, quote, "One of the reasons Perez's death is so tragic is that in reality, he likely did not pose an imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury to the officers due to his disabilities."
They can acknowledge that it's a tragedy, but we prefer that in acknowledging that it was a tragedy that there were arrests being made, but that's not going to happen. So we have to push on with our case.
As we go to break, here's a check of your forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Week in Review. Before we get back to this week's headlines, we want to remind you, you can get the latest news and weather forecast anytime you want on KREM 2 Plus. It's our streaming app you can watch on your TV, and best of all, it's free. We hope you'll check it out, but now let's get back to the Week in Review.
Well, our air quality index has been fluctuating between the moderate category to unhealthy for sensitive groups and back throughout the day, and that's really not expected to improve as we kick off the first weekend of the Spokane County Interstate Fair. Your giant smoked turkey leg might be a little extra smoky, and it won't be blue skies greeting high-rise riders either for the first weekend of the Spokane County Fair. Surrounded on nearly all sides by wildfire, Spokane's air quality is taking the hit.
There is definitely the potential for unhealthy air quality in the next 3 days.
Mark Rao with Spokane's Clean Air Agency says expect the current haze to stick around into early next week because of winds.
Although we may see a little bit of improvement on Sunday, the big improvement may not occur until Monday with the arrival of stronger southerly winds.
Rao expects our air quality to stay around the unhealthy for sensitive groups or orange category until then. You may want to plan your fair trip accordingly.
Well, children are in that sensitive group, so if the air quality is above 101, then children should avoid being exposed to outdoor air. Other groups that are in the sensitive category would be pregnant people and older adults.
Rebecca McMullen with the Regional Health District says the early warning signs of smoke exposure can be mild.
Red eyes, runny nose, cough.
But those fine particles travel deep into the lungs, making prolonged exposure serious for some.
There are more emergency room visits when we have those periods of unhealthy air, more heart attacks and strokes.
You can wear an N95 mask if you have to be outside, but health experts recommend staying inside if you are part of a more smoke-susceptible group. Now, this is all pretty normal for this time of year, fair time. I spoke with the fair director who says they often have a smoky start to the fair, but because there are 10 days worth of fun out here at the Spokane County Fair, you can maybe hold out for a day or two and then come out to enjoy when clearer skies are up above. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Well, right now, crews here at the Rockwood Boulevard construction project are doing everything they can to work around the impacts of this labor strike. If you take a look at your screen, this is the full picture of the construction zone here in the area. The project near the Sacred Heart Medical Center and Children's Hospital is meant to redesign the intersection of Rockwood Boulevard, Cowley Street, and 10th Avenue. On top of that, utility work will also be done to replace outdated water pipes and repair a section of the sewer. This project was originally set to be finished by mid-October, but that is all subject to change with the ongoing labor strike. Since August 12th, the International Union of Operating Engineers authorized an economic stand-down affecting hot asphalt paving operations throughout the region. Kirsten Davis, the communications manager for the City of Spokane Public Works, says crews are getting as much as they can done with things like concrete until the strike is over, which is why it may look like some projects are continuing through the strike, but really crews are just focusing on other things around that asphalt.
The goal is to not break up the asphalt until we have a pretty good indication as what we'll be able to do over the next couple months. People don't fully understand how much is actually happening underground versus just the surface. The other common thing we get is, well, how come you just can't get hot asphalt from another place, out of town or whatever? And the answer is that it's a hot asphalt mix, and so it has to be in a certain condition in order to use on site, so that distance really does make a difference.
Davis says she has seen a few asphalt plants come back online despite most seasonal asphalt plants closing around the 1st of October. She says seeing that they are back online will help with some availability, but it's just a matter of who needs it and how much they need. Davis says if the strike does continue, it will inevitably push all of these projects to next year, which will then cause a domino effect for the city because they already have projects lined up to start next year. In Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week.
For the owner of this coffee shop, tariffs create constant tension.
Coffee is the second most moved commodity in the world.
Ephraim Vasaha says at his business, costs now fluctuate on everything from retail bags to beans shipped from Africa.
We've got invoices to show that we've been paying the additional minimum of 10% on our coffee.
A new state analysis projects sobering outcomes.
And what we're talking about here is Liberation Day tariffs, if fully implemented.
The report highlights the broad package of import duties President Trump announced in April.
If the full tariffs are in effect through 2029, we expect up to a 16% increase for groceries over the next 2 years.
Governor Ferguson warns clothing and shoe costs could climb 7%.
The president's tariffs, again, if fully implemented, will cut up to 31,900 jobs from Washington State alone.
The findings show the steepest job losses in crop production, food and beverage manufacturing, and aircraft manufacturing. Republican Party Chair Jim Walsh pushed back in a statement saying, quote, "The current governor's latest press conference is a desperate attempt to distract attention away from his budget and policy failures."
Easy to put out a press release and a statement. I get that. That's what he does. I get that. But look, as a governor and as leaders in our communities, right, we need to engage in reality, okay? And reality is what these numbers say.
The numbers are making small business owners like Ephraim nervous.
There is this kind of uncertainty around what percentage you're going to be paying. How do you price your product so that you're not losing such a huge amount?
After pleading guilty today, the former employee will avoid jail time at this King County facility, but he will pay nearly $50,000 in restitution for what he did. Surveillance video caught the vandalism, $300,000 worth of wine down the drain, nearly 2 years after this waste in Woodinville.
Criminal trespass in the first degree. How do you plead, guilty or not guilty? Guilty.
The man responsible sat before a judge. Mark Griswold did not say much in court about the crime committed right before Thanksgiving in 2023. Investigators say Griswold, wearing a mask, approached Sparkman Cellars. He enters the barrel room through a secure door using the employee access code. In a matter of 6 minutes, he opens the valves on 2 massive tanks. The video shows 2,300 gallons of wine gushing everywhere, devastating the family-owned winery. As alarms began to sound, Griswold slips out the back door.
Their family was scared because they didn't know why it was done to them, and From speaking with the Sparkmans, they said that their employees were also scared.
Detectives were able to connect the case to Griswold. He worked at Sparkman Cellars for about a year before leaving in September of 2022. He allegedly told people he felt angry about how much he was being paid and harbored resentment and anger toward the winery owner.
He had asked for a 25% raise, and they were not financially able to do that, but they said they met him halfway. And did give him a raise and said that they could have another conversation later that year.
He quit instead. That's what the winery owners said in their victim impact statement as they agreed to a plea deal to finally put this mess behind them. In addition to paying restitution, the court is ordering Griswold to have a mental health evaluation in the next 30 days, and he must stay away from winery owners and staff. In Seattle, Natalie Swaby, King 5 News.
It happened just above this
a mystery.
This little hill up here
at Discovery Park. Justin Harburg walks the trail beneath the towering trees here often. But this was anything but routine.
All of a sudden I felt like I got hit over the head by a stick or something, like out of nowhere.
Was it assault?
About 30 seconds later it happened again, but this time my hat was ripped clear off my head, and it didn't just fall off, it was gone.
A thief?
So I turned around, expecting to see like a person, and there was no one there. At that point, I figured I should probably get out of there. It was getting dark.
A real whodunit. And in the race to find the answer, he learned it just might be in the question. So Justin did what pretty much anyone would do. He turned to the internet and started asking people on the Nextdoor app.
A lot of people commented, and the consensus was that it was probably a barred owl. But I still don't know for sure. I didn't see it. I just felt the impact twice. I guess they're really common in this area of the park.
Those internet detectives might be onto something. According to the conservation group, the National Audubon Society, barred owls are extremely territorial and have been known to dive bomb people.
I did some research, and I guess there have been other incidents here in Discovery Park where people have been attacked by owls. I don't know if anyone else has had their hat stolen.
Justin hasn't cracked the case with certainty.
The only thing I know for certain, whatever attacked me wasn't a Mariners fan. I was wearing a blue Mariners hat at the time, but it's gone.
But he has a prime suspect. In Seattle, Jim Nelson, King 5 News.
Welcome back. Before we wrap up this edition of the KREM 2 News Week in Review, we want to remind you that you can get the latest newscast and weather forecast anytime on KREM 2 Plus. It's free to watch and download for Roku, Amazon Fire, and on Apple TV. Now here's one more story before we go.
Some shoppers are speaking out, saying Costco is favoring its premium members and leaving the rest of its customers behind. The changes kicked in yesterday, but with Costco closed for Labor Day, most customers will notice it starting today. Executive members who pay $130 a year, they now get early access from 9 to 10 a.m. on weekdays and Sundays, and from 9 to 9:30 a.m. on Saturdays. Gold Star and business members who pay $65 a year, they may be turned away at the door if they show up too early. This move also puts Costco in step with Sam's Club, which has offered early access to Premium Plus members for years. This policy change started in June but was not strictly enforced. Even then, it drew major backlash from customers. Costco says this grace period is now over, meaning that this policy will be strictly enforced. In Seattle, Savannah Welch, King 5 News.
Thanks for joining us for the KREM 2 News Week in Review. Be sure to keep it here on KREM 2 for more news throughout the weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching.